I guess if I have to, or I decided for some reasons to outsource a decision or several decisions that could change my life to someone else, I must have full trust, full confidence in that person. And by choosing this person, I think I'm already, sending the message. I don't think it will be productive to intervene with someone else, because passing such important decision, imagine, very important decisions that could dramatically influence my own life to someone else, I mean, that's already a big decision of its own. And if I do it, if I have to do it, I will rely on this person, because it means I need, for some reasons, I need this person's expertise, strengths, confidence, and other qualities that, again, for some reasons, I couldn't find within my own. I have to say that this is not typical for me to look for someone else to make a decision of that caliber. And naturally, the qualities required for such a tremendous task will depend exclusively on the task assigned. If it requires something, very dynamic, aggressive, naturally I'll be looking for similar qualities. If it requires patience, and long-term anticipation, yeah, that will be slightly different. Again, I have to underline that passing decisions of that magnitude to another person, it's not typical for me, but if it's done by me or by someone else, I would say that you just have to make your choice based on the task you are assigning to this person, and leave this person on his or her own, because any intervention might, in my view, in this case, might only be counterproductive. Say that being focused and being patient, they're necessarily, two sort of synonymous terms that you could quote just, using one comma. Both are important, but they might be very useful in different situations. For instance, I was always focused when I played chess. It doesn't mean that I was always patient, which was not exactly, part of my character. But I know that patience is important while you're learning. And I think that is, again, from my perspective, and I have to emphasize that, if I give any definition of patience or being focused or any other terms, if I give any advice on how to make decisions, these advices, they come from my own experience. And this is my own, Garry Kasparov's experience, which is unique as your experience or anybody else. You have to be extremely cautious by trying to sort of copy-paste the formula that worked for your friend, even for your loved ones, for your own life, because again, we're all different. And every decision, is unique, and every person who is making decisions, always bases it on his or her own formula. And it's like DNA or fingerprints. So you cannot rely 100% on a successful experience from someone else. But I think that, again, from my perspectives, patience, it's your ability to also accept failures. Because very often today, even from kindergarten, and of course in schools, and of course in colleges, and of course at the workplace, in businesses, we hear, oh, failure. Failure is nothing but failure. While failure is an inevitable step towards success. If you don't take a risk, how can you, be sure about rewards? especially if you're looking for, something big, you want to do something that never happened before. I mean, you're looking for breakthrough innovations. It's like, the sort of a moon project, something that, that is something for the blue skies. It means you have to enter uncharted waters, sort of untested territories. And again, for me, patience is also a willingness to accept failure, defeat, and to try again. And again, willingness to learn from others. Recognizing that, again, this experience may not be, very, very useful for you, but still, learning is important, and learning without patience doesn't work. Focused, again, that should be with you all the time, because the moment you lose your focus, your energy, even if you have plenty of energy and a lot of ideas, it could go in the wrong direction. So I would still put focus at the driving seat and patience as the safety belt.
Yes, great.
Again, it depends on the definition of patience. I mean, it's very important to understand that, that if you're talking about, patience of a python who is just, or a crocodile, sitting in ambush and waiting, or, just this slow motion process of history, we're not going to live through the dinosaurs era, we just, we have few dozens of years, on this planet, so, someone else, someone less, someone more. But at the end of, maybe again, our lifespan will grow, eventually will grow, and, maybe, I'm not sure about our generation, but our kids could even think of 100 years, not something unusual. But while we're staying longer on the planet, definitely the pace of the events has been changing quite dramatically. And it creates a different environment, because you can have information, a lot of information, ideas, but whatever you have, it's like, think it's of your tools, your instruments. It's your, the investment you're making. But if environment changes, you have to adjust it as well. So something that worked 10 years ago as a winning formula may be totally counterproductive today, just because the speed, just it's things, the cycle goes faster. So that's why you just have to make sure that your knowledge will be always adjusted to the demand of the time. It doesn't mean that you have to lose your patience, because, again, for me, patience is first of all, and first at most, is your ability to learn from your mistakes, and your willingness to accept failure, or your readiness to accept failure and to move forward. But in the current environment, modern environment, which shows no sign of slowing down, we have to look for more aggressive options. So it's typically attacker has an advantage. That's my philosophy. So I believe that, if you are trying to push forward, so you're already ahead of the curve. Yes, there's more risk involved, but when you start looking at the numbers, again, statistically, which, by the way, doesn't mean that, it always works for you. You may be on the wrong side of the statistics. But as a big number, I think in today's environment, trying something aggressive should actually work for you, because, again, the benefits could be huge, because everybody else is trying to be too slow and too cautious and too defensive. Instincts or intuition, I think it's a very comprehensive theme, and I have to say that in our world, people are very skeptical about their instincts, because instinct is something which is based on the experience, on your nature. So it's a combination of different factors, but it cannot be supported by numbers on the screen. It cannot be supported by the information that you can find, on the internet. So you cannot Google it. And people, are always cautious, skeptical. Even they're frightened to rely on something that does not have, sort of number crunching justification. My belief, may call feelings, intuition. And that's what comes from my experience, is that you have to learn how to trust your intuition, which means you have to use it. It's a very sort of primitive form of sort of visual implementation, but think about your intuition as a muscle. If you want to strengthen the muscles, you do push-ups, you run, you have to use it. You have to strengthen them. Unless, it will not grow and it will get weaker. So intuitively, try to do something, and see what happens. Because developing intuition means that, again, you have to be patient to accept possibly failures. But again, if you look again at the numbers, statistically, intuition, if you know how to use it, if you have, again, good gut feelings about your intuition, may give you a competitive edge. Because at the moment when everybody's looking at the screen, everybody's trying to sort of do number crunching, to calculate, you can do the same, but also you can have a good, feeling, a smell, that it's time to stop looking at the screen, it's time to cut it short and to make a decision. In life, in different situations, in business, in politics, in military conflicts, it's not, it's not identical. The forces are not identical. They could be equal in strengths, but they're not identical. Which means that you always have to find a way to sort of maximize the effect of your advantages and to diminish the effect, to downsize the strengths of your opponent. In many cases, the result of this battle or just, of this competition will depend on the environment or landscape. I always like to just to bring a sort of an imaginary medieval battlefield. And you have two armies, strong armies, roughly even in strengths, but having a different composition. So one army has a very strong cavalry, another army has very powerful archers. So the outcome of this battle will depend most likely on the landscape. If it happens in the valley, the cavalry will probably smash the opposition. But if it goes to the hills, then you can imagine that the archers will have a competitive edge over the cavalry. So you can project it to literally every other aspect of competitive life. So whether it's in business or in sport, and the last thing you want to do is to start, changing your style, because there's no good or bad style. Being aggressive or being defensive doesn't mean that you will be winner or loser. It's very important how you use your competitive advantage over your opponents. Brazilian football players, they were World Cup winners 5 times, and they play very aggressive football. Italians won it 4 times. So Germans also won it 4 times. Very different teams, very different styles. So, but it depends whether they could, at that specific moment, they could demonstrate the advantages of their model. And you always have to be very open, very even relentlessly honest with yourself, recognizing not only your strengths but your weaknesses, to understand how you should cover it, because the opponents, will definitely look for them and try to sort of create conditions where your weaknesses might be you could be too vulnerable due to your weaknesses. We always, that's human nature. We're always used to sort of be overwhelmed by our success. And there's nothing wrong about it. We're all humans, And if we win, we believe that this victory is very much the result of our greatness, and we just don't understand that every game we played, every business deal, every military battle, every political campaign, has two or more sides engaged. And each game requires analysis, even if you won, because there are mistakes made, even by us. Normally, if you win, it means that your opponent made the last mistake. So that's why analyzing it and recognizing what you did wrong, how could you get better for the next battle, even if you won the previous one, it's absolutely vital. Because everybody else, who was not so successful, will be working really hard, trying to find out what did go wrong for them. And next time they will be well prepared. So again, this is a patience multiplied by frankness. So you have to be ready to sort of to challenge your own success. That's what I call the gravity of the past success. Also, you have to remember that no matter how much time we spend on preparing for a battle, competition, sport event, whatever, most likely, if it's a good, tough fight, the final decision or some of the final moments of this battle will be happening at the huge time pressure. It's always happens, that is the big decisions you make under huge time pressure. You don't have much time to think. Now it goes to your gut feelings. And if it goes to your gut feelings, you have to understand it will be very much made by instincts. So you should understand what kind of decisions you will make under this time pressure. And you have to make sure, or at least you have to try, to create situations that is similar, or just, let's say, it's more where your strength is more applicable. So this is, if you are more dynamic player, you have to positions or situations where instinctive dynamic decisions will be working in your favor. If you are more defensive, you don't want to find yourself in a time trouble in a very dynamic situation, because your instincts will be driving you in the opposite direction. So the greatest art of winning the competition is realizing your own strengths, your own weaknesses, have a best or as good as you can find out the image of your opponent or opponents, and to master the conditions in the field. So the landscape, environment. If you know how to create an environment that works for you, to force your opponents to play your game, you'll be on the top of the game.